Good afternoon, everyone. It's Louise here from Eleanor Grace. So I did promise this video a little while ago. This is a little sort of needle keeper that I make for my in-person classes. So I usually make one of these for everybody and give them a range of needles, with as per my recent video on needle choices. It might have a beading needle and maybe a milliner's and Chanel needle, and so on. These are just very simple and easy to make. It's backed with a bit of fabric, and my mum being a quilter, she has lots of bits and bobs. So yesterday I raided her stash for these lovely bits from a Tree of Life piece that she worked on some time ago. So all you need for this, as per usual, the usual three elements is you need a piece of fabric to top it with. Now this is a sort of, it's meant to look like linen. It's I don't think it's it isn't linen, but it is a little bit more difficult to work with than linen. As you probably know, I prefer linen above all things. So this doesn't hold the needles quite as well. You could obviously use a piece of cotton, but you've got to remember this is going to be something where the needles are going to be taken in and out, in and out. So you don't want it to be something that falls apart too easily. And normally I would say linen is the best for this. So I'm going to use this because it's what I've got and what I've cut out, and also a piece of felt, as well as the backing fabric. Now these are roughly 2 inches. This is actually just a tiny bit above 2 inches, both sides. Obviously, like normal, we are going to put our pieces together and stitch through this and then add the backing at the end. So firstly, what I'm going to do is pin these 2 pieces together. I'm just going to pin it in roughly in the center. And as you can see from here, we're using very simple stitches. I've just done a design. You can do whatever you want on this. What I would say is it's probably preferable to have a plain fabric, and also something that doesn't have a lot of design in the center, because it is easier to see your needles that way. So that's why I usually go for linen or this sort of, well, it's almost like a calico, but it's not quite. And then pick a couple of colours. I've gone for quite a muted palette, and I, as always, as you probably know, use cotton perlé. This is DMC cotton perlé 8, and it's a perfect weight really for beginners and beyond. So I'm going to pop those just out of view for the moment, and this backing bit, we don't need that till the end. So I'll leave that there just for reference. And what I do is pin it in place, get a length of thread, and then I start my design. So with these ones, I've done them all the same. I've done each one in the same way. In fact, I'm going to move it over this side so I can see it better. And what I do is start off in one corner. So I usually tend to start off with a lazy daisy in this corner. So I'm going to just do that. So let's do a little lazy daisy. Now this is a chain stitch in a circle, which I'm sure you've seen before. So just do one stitch at a time. You will see that the piece does start to move as you're doing it, even if you pinned it. So I tend to keep sort of pressing it back. If it looks like it's creeping up, like it is on this side, just sort of press it back until it's in still in the right place. That's the trouble when you're working on something so small. So I'm going to do the second stitch, and then I'm just going to pause it while I work my way around, because I want to keep this nice and short, this video, so you don't have to wait while I'm doing all the stitching. So I've come to the end of that last stitch on the lazy daisy. I'm going to finish it off, and what I've done, as you can probably see here, is I've done a little running stitch to link the pieces together in a sort of wiggly fashion. So what I like to tend to do is start in between two of the petals like that, and then work my way around in a slightly wiggly design. Now this would be a really nice little present for somebody who's a stitcher. If you have any friends who are stitchers, you might want to just make something. What I would say is probably not best to add like a lot of beads or buttons, nor work too close to the edge, because that all just gets a little bit in the way. So I'm going to make my way over here. Now I have only threaded it with about a 12-inch 30-centimetre piece of thread, which means I might I am going to have to thread another one, but it's better to keep control of the piece with shorter lengths, otherwise it can get a bit twisted. For the edging, which I'll do at the end, you'll need a longer piece of thread because it's going to be a nice blanket stitch around the edge. You can stop and add another piece. I will show you how to do that, but it's not ideal. So I tend to make quite a long length for going around the edge. I will show you that when we get there. So we're getting to the next corner now. If I turn this so it's sort of in par with what we're going to do, then I did what you will know as my favourite stitch, which is a little feather stitch. So I just do a couple of feather stitches, bring that down, come up in the middle. Now I'm not talking through these because most of these I've got videos for, so if you're not too sure how to do them, do have a little look at the videos, especially the ones for beginners. They are things that I use again and again. And we will be having an announcement next weekend on Sunday, about the stitch along I'm going to do for January to March. It's going to be a nice long one, something very easy, but something that we can all take part in. So I've done that bit. I'm going to do a couple of French knots, and my thread is already running out, so these are going to be a little bit smaller than normal. I'm going to do 2 wraps, which a lot of people say is the most you should do on a French knot, but depends on the thickness of your thread. So I think I'm going to get a new piece of thread at that point, and then I can carry on around it. So I'm just going to tie that off and snip it and add. I do love these greens. Anyone who knows me will know I'm a fan of soft colours. Not so much to wear, funnily enough. I don't wear pastel shades at all. Not really. I wear bright colours and a lot of black and a lot of blue. But I like lighter shades generally to work on. But I'm going to challenge myself with the stitch along that we're going to be doing to work in different colours. So just doing a double knot here because no, I think that's all right actually. A single knot will do. Snip that end off. Okay, so let's get this back up where we were. So again, we want to follow with this sort of meandering little running stitch around the edge, and again you can see it slips slightly as you work on it, but just try and get it central, and then at the end you can just snip the edges if they're showing too much. So this one is a very short little round of stitches, so we're just going to do 2 or 3, and then I'm going to do a bit of, as you can see, I'm going to do a bit of herringbone stitch, and I'm going to go up to the corner and then go round the corner, but sort of not join them together. I'm not being too fussy. Now I'm working, you know, I'm left-handed, so I tend to work in a left-handed way. To get this way and round the corner, I'm actually working right-handedly. So you would work a herringbone stitch in the same way as me if you were right-handed, but I tend to go left to right normally, as a left-handed person generally would. So again, there's a video on herringbone stitch, so I'm not going to go into it in too much. I'm going to keep this one fairly flat. Now you do want to leave a little bit of space to the edge. I haven't left much there, but you don't want to go right up to the edge if possible, because you're going to cover it with your blanket stitch when you go around the edge. So I'm just going to do another one there. I do love this stitch. I use it a lot, but I haven't used it for a while, so it's quite nice to do it. So I'm going to stop that one there, and then I'm going to turn my piece and restart it just underneath, just so I get into the near the corner. There you go. It seems a bit weird working this right to left, but it's the way I decided to go on the stitching, so it seems a bit backwards to me as a left-handed person, which the world is. For anyone who's left-handed who's watching this, you will know the world is not set up for us. It's all backwards, but you have to learn. You have to learn to be a bit ambidextrous, and I am. I can't really stitch left-handed, but I do an awful lot right-handed, but I do an awful lot else right-handed. Just because you have to learn. You have to learn to be a little bit ambidextrous. There we go. So I've only done a couple more stitches there. Then again, I'm going to turn it and go along and with my little running stitch. Just run this along here. You can see how quickly these make up. I've only paused it for doing the lazy daisy, because that takes me a couple of minutes, and it's one of those ones that's difficult to do at speed. So I'm doing a little meandering line, and I'm going to get to about there, and then I'm going to start a little chain stitch, so much like the lazy daisy, but in a chain. So that makes it a bit quicker to work. And again, I'm making this a bit meandering. I'm not going to make it go all straight. And you do that by sort of turning the work as you're going and trying to keep the stitches roughly the same size. But again, slow stitching, perfection is not a requirement here. So let's get that one up to near the corner. And then I'm going to turn. Got a little bit of thread caught there. Let's get that out. I'm going to turn and carry on along this way. Come back on myself a little bit and make a little jazzy little piece. Again, I'm sort of still pushing the edges a little bit, because it does get a bit twisted. In fact, this thread has got a little bit twisted. So what I do is pull it out again. What's happened is that's got twisted as it's gone through. I'm going to come up through the other side with that, because it's got a bit twisted, and then it won't lie flat. Yep, I've made a bit of a mess of that one. Let's try that again. It's not a difficult stitch, but sometimes the thread does go a bit mad. Right, that's it. That's more like it. Okay, so that's that stitch, and I'm going to do just one or two more going upwards and finishing off with a little running stitch to take me back to my lazy daisy. So that's quite nice actually. I like that as it is. Okay, so then I will take the running stitch from here and bring it round, just to help keep the thing in place as well. And as you can see, I'm still sort of spreading the fabric as I go to make sure it doesn't get bunched. Let's do another couple of stitches here. I think I'm quite happy to take out that pin now. I think he's well and truly not needed. And so I'm going to make a wiggly line to the inside of the 2 petals. And that is your piece done. So all you need to do then is to do the edge. Now, again, I won't show you me doing the whole of this because this is the piece that takes the longest on this little project, and that's the blanket stitch. So I will show you a couple of things, and I will just show you me starting off and sort of finishing off. So with blanket stitch, it's as I say, we need a longer piece of thread here. Now I've got one here that's about, it's about 1.5 feet, so it's about 18 inches, which is about 45 centimeters. I won't quite finish with that. I think that will not quite take me all the way round, so it will be a good opportunity to show you what to do if you run out of thread partway through. It's not the neatest thing, but it's not the worst as well. So let's have a little look. So starting off, I tend to start off near to a corner, and so I'm going to start off with my lazy daisy here. So I'm coming through the 2 layers from the back, pulling the thread through, and then what I do is just go up and over in the same stitch. So go up and through and bring the thread through. Now if you can, bring it slightly to the left, not a different stitch, but sort of to the left of the bit of thread here that you've got hanging. So there we are, that's our first stitch. Okay, then what you do is pop your needle through. Now I'm going left-handed, which is right, left to right. If you're right-handed, you might well start in that corner and work your way around. Okay, so once you've taken that bit of thread through, it's really simple now. Very, very simple. You just make all the stitches the same, unless you want to be jazzy, but I tend to keep them all the same size. So you put your thread through, and all you do is wrap it, and keep a bit of tension here. So keep your I keep my thumb on it. There we go, stitch number 1. And that's what you do all the way around. So for a left-handed person, you keep your thread to the right-hand side. For right-handed, you will be keeping it to the left-hand side. And then, as I say, you just wrap it, pull through, and I'm going to go all the way around doing that. I will carry on doing that all the way round as far as I can get with this bit of thread, and I will show you what to do if you run out. So I'm going to pop it on hold again, and I'll be back with you in a second. So I'm coming up to a corner here, so I'm just going to show you this. So I'm wrapping, holding on to that thread a bit. Okay, so I've done that one. What I then do, in fact this needs a little bit of a trim, so I just cut off, there was a bit of excess here, so I've just chopped that off. And what you do is, if you've done a stitch just before the edge, I tend to put another stitch into about the same area, wrapping it around. And then getting it to sort of fall on the corner, which it has perfectly there, if you can see that. There we go. So I'm going to carry along with that, and I will come back to you if and when I'm running out of thread. If not, I will be coming back to you when I've got round to the edge, to the start line again. All right. You might have noticed the rookie error. I didn't until I got to that corner. I didn't attach the back. So, oh dear, what a plum. Okay, so let's do that, and I'm going to go back round. So going to put that on there. Need to snip the edge a little bit because it's a little bit wider, but that's fine. Right, round 2. Ding ding. The other thing to check is that every couple of stitches you have a look to see if you've caught the back, because if you haven't, then obviously it might be a bit gapey. So I tend to just turn it over every couple of stitches just to check. I'm carrying on. So I have just run out of thread just before the final edge. So this was a 18-inch, which would be a 45cm long piece of thread. You would need, I think, at least 2 foot or 60 centimeters to get all the way round safely, possibly just a little bit more than that. I don't want to do the join on the corner because that would be a weak point, so I'm going to stop just here. Okay, and I've made that last stitch. What you do then is turn it over and bring the thread down to the bottom of the stitch, and I usually just stitch it through with a very, very, very small stitch like that. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad on the back there. I do a little knot. Okay, and I leave try and leave a little bit of give on that knot so it's not too tight. And then what I do is thread that through pretty much the same hole that it's come out of, and push up through a couple of stitches down on the edge and just pull that through. As you can see, the knot's gone. I pull this tight so the knot gets pulled inside, and there we are. That's that bit. Now you've got to reattach. So this is not, there's not a absolutely beautifully easy way to do this, which is why it's probably best to have the right amount of thread at the start, but you don't know sometimes until you do a project exactly how much is going to be required. So I've got myself a nice long piece here. It's going to be more than enough for the rest. And what I tend to do is come inside the back layer. So I'm just inside there. Come up, sorry, it's getting a bit blurred because it's getting so close. Come up to, for me, what would be the left of the stitch from front ways. And if you're right-handed, you'd be doing this the opposite way. So just as if you're about to make the next stitch. So you've hidden the knot in the back there. You've got the thread in about the right place. Looks reasonably seamless, doesn't it? And then you carry on. So yeah, I wouldn't advise doing one at the corner, because that's going to leave it as a area of weakness. So I would stop, you know, part way through a row. Even if you've got a little bit of thread left, you could always use that for something else. So we're coming up to the corner again. I'll show you that one again. In fact, here I'm going to do one more stitch before the corner. So let's go about here. Pull that through. And then, as I say, take it around the corner. So I just move these other stitches out the way with the needle, but not going through them, just sort of going underneath them. And then, as you can see, I've got my nice corner. So I'm going to finish this off with you. So last few stitches. And we will have finished our little piece. So yes, I had a little brain melt just as I was coming up to that corner. I realised this feels a bit light, and I thought, I haven't put the back on, so I had to unpick it all and start again. But that's how these things happen sometimes, don't they? You learn You learn not to do that again. And also it was a good timing, because just as I pressed pause on the video, my mum rang and I could hear the answer phone with her saying, you know, can we catch up? So I thought that was probably good timing that I did that. Okay, so getting near the end now. And as I've gone through, I have just made sure again that there's not going to be a big sort of puffy pocket here. So, you know, I'm sort of smoothing it to the edges as I'm going around each edge to make sure that that it looks good. I did have obviously a pin on when I was first stitching, but when I got to the third corner, or got near the third corner, I thought I don't really need that anymore. Just checking. Yep, caught the back on it. So that's that. So we're getting near the end. Just a few more stitches, but this would be a lovely little present. And if you are, you know, if you are someone who's got a stash, or like me, I've got a bit of a stash, and also my mum was a quilter, so you know, it's a nice little gift, because sometimes you don't really want a large pincushion. You might just want somewhere to keep a couple of needles while you're working. And I do find sometimes, if I haven't got one of these handy, you know, I got needles lying about, and it's not great if you find yourself stepping on one of them, which I must admit has happened before. I think that's probably happened to a lot of people, but yeah, we're getting up to the corner. So we're going to finish in a very similar way to where we had to patch up that extra length of thread. So I'm coming up to the edge. I've got one stitch on the corner here on that side, and I'm just going to match it up with another one here and then finish off. So I'm going to put a last stitch. Again, I'm moving that lazy daisy out the way so I can go underneath it. Pull through, and then I'm going to come around the corner with that bit of thread, and I'm just going to put it underneath the stitch as you are sort of, it looks like you are doing with the stitch as it is, but I'm going to sort of catch the edge a little bit. Just bear with me 1 second. My phone, I should have charged it up as I usually do, but I was busy today. So I'm going to come round the edge there. I'm just going to finish this in time before it runs out of charge. Okay, so when you get to that edge, what you can do is take your thread over and again go in the stitch that you would be working, if you like, and I'm going to pop out in the middle of the stitches there to get what looks like a reasonably neat finish there, and a reasonably neat finish on the back as well. And then I'm just going to do a little knot, and again, like I did on the other one, I'm going to take this knot, which is just a little bit loose, which is what I want. I'm going to take it under and through and quite a way down the piece, so I know it's going to get caught inside. And if I just give that a pull, I know that's going to get caught. Just give it an extra tug, and then I'm going to pull this tight as I'm chopping. Then it should get nicely caught inside, and there you go. You've got your little needle case, which you can put a range of needles in as you're working on them. As I say, this fabric is not the most forgiving, so I would tend to say a cotton or a cotton linen mix, or ideally, if you can, a bit of linen. I have got some little bundles of linen on my shop, which you know, may well do for this if you haven't got any linen or you can't get hold of it easily. When you buy it on the roll, obviously it's very expensive, but it's nice to have some little offcuts of linen. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed that. And you know, obviously you don't need to particularly follow my design, but you're most welcome to. And I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you again soon. Bye.